Welcome to the U.S. Daily Brief channel. The Ukrainian Armed Forces has launched a counter-offensive against the Russian army in Donbass, Severodonetsk and Kherson and is clearing the Russian army from many areas. Even if the Russian army made small advances, especially in the Donbass, Ukraine's response began to become much harsher. Long-range howitzers arriving in the area became one of the unlocking points of the war. The Ukrainian armed forces shoots the Russian army columns with the howitzers it uses and prevents the Russians from taking a defensive position in the occupied areas. The importance of tanks and howitzers in land wars has been well understood in the past 2 months. The decision to send heavy weapons to Ukraine almost changed the fate of the Ukrainian army and became the nightmare of the Russian army. Sending heavy weapons to Ukraine was already a necessity because Russia was attacking the Ukrainian armed forces with heavy weapons. When the Ukrainian army first received the US-made M777 howitzer, the fate of the conflicts changed and it began to gain the upper hand over the Russian army. In addition to the M795, the standard bullet of the M777 155mm howitzer, the rocket-assisted M549A1 bullets were also used by the Ukrainian army. The range of the 155mm M777 howitzer shells was at least 5 kilometers longer than the Russian 152mm self-propelled howitzers, and the US-made guns proved their superiority over the Russians in the hands of the Ukrainian army. After the benefits of M777 howitzers from the USA were seen in the region, howitzers from many different countries continued to rain down on Ukraine. The upgraded self-propelled version of the US-made M777, the M109 155mm howitzer, was also guaranteed to have an edge over the Russian artillery. Because the firing range of the M109s could exceed 40 kilometers. For this reason, Norway, the USA, the Netherlands, Italy and Belgium have supplied or are planning to supply the M109 155mm self-propelled howitzer types to Ukraine. Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov stated that he is pleased to announce that the 155mm artillery squadrons have been renewed and that Ukraine has received the M109s, upgraded versions of the M777 howitzers. As the war in Ukraine shifted to the Donbass, the requirements of the war changed drastically for the Ukrainian armed forces. While defending Kyiv and other urban centers in the initial phase of the war, the Ukrainian armed forces defended their territory with portable anti-tank missiles and air defense systems. Especially after the superior performance of the anti-tank missiles provided by the Western allies in the region, large Russian tank graves were created in the region. However, the value of long-range artillery increased even more in a Donbass campaign where the war turned into an established order. Now the second phase of the war is taking place and the Ukrainian armed forces is carrying out offensive moves. Your ground forces can be bait when you don't have a long-range fleet that you absolutely trust behind you while these attacks are being carried out. With this awareness, the Ukrainian armed forces, on the other hand, shoots the Russian columns, which they detect with unmanned aerial vehicles, with long-range howitzers, clearing the way for ground operations units and enabling them to advance safely. They also have to deal with artillery attacks used by the Russians, and Russian artillery targets can only be stopped by destroying them with a howitzer attack fired from longer ranges. In line with this need, the Ukrainian army requested and received artillery from the USA and NATO in May. While the Pentagon is sending 90 M777 155mm howitzers to Ukraine, Canada and Australia are sending additional howitzers of the same type. In addition, the UK is sending 12 AS-90 155mm armored self-propelled artillery, France is sending 12 Caesar 155mm trucked self-propelled howitzers, and the Netherlands, Belgium and Italy have agreed to send Panzerhaubitze 2000 SP 155mm self-propelled howitzers. With different models of M109 howitzers, superiority in the eastern region of Ukraine is expected to pass to Ukraine. Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov announced that he is pleased to announce the renewal of the 155mm artillery squadrons. He said that Ukraine has received the M109s, upgraded versions of the M777 howitzers, and that the arrival of these high-quality equipment in the country is the result of cooperation between Ukraine and several of its Western allies. The minister also reminded that there are currently 3 types of 155mm artillery in Ukraine. These are M777s, FH-70s and Caesars. M109 howitzers, which will come next to the effect of these weapons, can upset the balance in the region. M109 Paladin self-propelled howitzers can play a fateful role in battle. In the first months of the war in Ukraine, artillery was used effectively by Russia, and the Ukrainian armed forces had great difficulties in this regard. However, with the howitzers entrusted to the Ukrainian armed forces recently, the Ukrainian armed forces gained a great advantage against the Russian army in the Donbass battle, which is a more established war, and showed that the artillery continues to be the king of the war. Built by BAE Systems, the M109 Paladin weighs 27.5 tons and is 30 feet long. It has a crew of 4, a commander, driver, gunner, an ammunition carrier and loader. The M109 Paladin is the A6 version of this self-propelled howitzer. The U.S. military operates more than 900 howitzers of this type. The M109 Paladin is armed with the M284 155mm howitzer. At the top of the vehicle is an M2 Browning .50 caliber heavy machine gun. The M126 gun uses an M127 mounted with a smoke extractor and a large muzzle brake to reduce recoil. The hydraulic system allows the crew to lift the gun or fly through the turret, but there are also manual controls for emergency use. The M109 Paladin's maximum rate of fire is 8 rounds per minute and its sustained rate of fire is 1 round every 3 minutes. The self-propelled howitzer can fire its ammunition from about 15 miles using unassisted rounds and from about 19 miles using assisted rounds. Some M109 Paladin howitzers can fire the M982S caliber extended-range precision-guided munition with a range of approximately 25 miles. The vehicle can collect a maximum of 93 rounds, but usually carries around 40 rounds. Considering these crazy numbers, the effectiveness of the M109 howitzers in the region will have an undeniable impact. The Russian army, which is trying to advance, can be completely dispersed with these intense and effective attacks of M109s from long ranges. The self-propelled howitzer can fire a projectile within a minute after stopping in a firing position, making it a great platform for hit-and-run tactics. At the same time, the weapon gains an incredible ability to dodge counterattacks. There is a great need for such a weapon in the Donbass right now. Because as a result of attacks from long ranges, howitzers reveal their own positions. However, the M109s can dodge all these maneuvers with its rapid fire system and quick displacement feature. Speaking of quick displacement, let's not forget to mention the superior engine power of the M109s. The vehicle is powered by a 2-stroke diesel DDEC-8 V7 1T engine capable of producing 440 horsepower and uses an Allison transmission XTG 411-4A cross-drive gearbox with 4 forward and 2 reverse gears. It can reach speeds of 40 miles per hour and has an effective range of 214 miles. Currently, as the violence of the conflict in Ukraine intensifies, Western states are making efforts to send more heavy weapons to Ukraine. The Norwegian government announced that it has donated 22 M109 155mm tracked self-propelled howitzers and ammunition to Ukraine. The government announced that artillery pieces were sent from Norway, along with related equipment and spare parts. Other features such as future donations were not disclosed, citing security reasons. Norway sent the shipment after the M109 training of Ukrainian soldiers in Germany was over. Self-propelled howitzers and spare parts donated to Ukraine were supplied from artillery stored by the army. As part of its efforts to strengthen the Ukrainian armed forces against Russia, Norway has made significant contributions to Ukraine. Norway's aid to Ukraine includes 4,000 M72 anti-tank guns, 1,500 bulletproof vests, helmets, protective masks and sleeping bags. Norway also tried to double Ukraine's superiority in air defense by strengthening the Mistral air defense systems to Ukraine in April. Additionally, Norway plans to contribute $42 million to a UK-led fund to handle the purchase of equipment in support of Ukraine. It is stated that the M109 howitzer shipment to the USA will be completed in the coming days, but a clear date has not been specified yet. The story of Belgium's M109 howitzer shipment to Ukraine is complicated in itself. Currently, Belgium is allegedly shipping to Ukraine via the OIP company. However, no definite data on this issue has been shared yet, neither from the Belgian government nor from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. However, the US made 64 M109A4B tracked 155mm howitzers were used in the Belgian army inventory until 2015. It was later sold to FTS with spare parts